And sometimes there are moments where I feel like I'm struggling sometimes. There are moments where I feel like I'm failing, literally. And it's a hard thing to go through at moments when you feel like you're struggling and you're failing and that you're by yourself in those spaces. Hey family, my name is Christina and welcome to my channel called Progression Not Perfection. On this channel, I will be taking you guys into my life. I will be making content based on my identity journey in adulthood, so pretty much who I am right now in this space of my life. I'll be also bringing into my journey in my faith, my journey as being a wife, and my journey as being a mom. And let me just tell you, all of those roles are some major roles right now that I am experiencing and that God is allowing me to have. And sometimes there are moments where I feel like I'm struggling sometimes. There are moments where I feel like I'm failing, literally. And it's a hard thing to go through at moments when you feel like you're struggling and you're failing and that you're by yourself in those spaces, that you're the only wife, you're the only mom, you're the only person that is struggling with it, right? So I created this channel to kind of help me to process some things right now that I'm experiencing, but also to let people know that you're not alone in what you're going through. There are other people out there are going through the same thing. And right now, as a family, we are going to do this together. You're going to walk alongside me in my journey. I'm going to walk alongside you in your journey. We're going to do this together so that we can become the person that we want to be and also that God has called us to be. But before we start this video, and if you are feeling that you are relating to what I just said, if you're also in that space and you don't even know where to start, what to do, how to go about these things, then I think that this is the right channel for you. Matter of fact, I know that this is the right channel for you. So I'm asking for you to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and also push that notification button so that you don't miss the next video, because we're doing this together. I'm with you, you're with me, and we're going to do this together, family, okay? Come on, let's get started. So for my first point is, why start a YouTube channel, right? And let me tell you, it was pretty difficult to get to this journey. But the reason why I'm starting this YouTube channel, one of the reasons is because I felt that God was telling me to practice vulnerability. Now, mind you, I do not like to be vulnerable whatsoever. I don't like to talk about or share my feelings with individuals just because of some things that I have been through. One thing in particular was kind of back in my early college days. I had some friends at the time and was kind of going through some things. Just didn't know what to do, expressing them, my feelings, my thoughts, those type of things. And what I didn't realize was that a listening ear for me at the time became running lips to the entire campus, which sucked, you know what I'm saying? It caused me to have a hard heart. It caused me to harbor resentment. It caused me to also to not trust anyone anymore, to the point where I kept people at like an arm's length, where it's like, yeah, you will never get that close in my space like that for me to explain just who I am as a person. And in the midst of adapting that mentality, it has caused me to not have as close relationships with other people, not trust other people, and kind of stay stuck in some aspects. And I feel that God has told me that my vulnerability, especially on this platform, will kind of break some of those strongholds off of me, so that I can no longer to feel stuck in certain areas, but also while I am going and navigating through this space, I'm also helping other individuals to navigate through their life moments as well through my vulnerabilities. So I am going to be obedient to what He is telling me to do. mind you, this is a totally different space for me, so it is a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to be obedient. My second point is healing from those negative beliefs and self-talk that we typically have. There are moments in my life that I feel broken, beyond repair, and that I will be broken forever. There are moments in my life where I have these negative beliefs and self-talk that I say that no one will ever love me, no one will ever want to be with me, and no one will ever stay. And that I'm not even enough to keep anyone to stay. Now, mind you, yes, I have a husband. Yes, I have 2 beautiful children. I have the house, the career, the life that I've always dreamed and pictured of. And you would just think that those negative beliefs and thoughts would just disappear. Well, I'm here to tell you that they don't. They did not. What it did was it kind of intensified it once I got these different roles of being a wife and being a mom and being a professional, that it became a lot of pressure because I was still holding on to things that I haven't dealt with. And yes, my husband is an amazing person. But because I didn't deal with things that I was struggling with before I met him, before the relationship, before the marriage, before having a kiddo, what happened was I brought all of my brokenness into these new places, into these new spaces of my life, and was unable to enjoy it to its fullest because of things that were so unresolved in my childhood or in other spaces of my life that I just did not deal with. And let me tell you, I made life pretty difficult at moments unintentionally because I wasn't working on myself. And what we need to do is we need to work on ourselves, especially before we hit new heights and new stages of our life, because we don't want to bring all of that brokenness into those new spaces. There were even moments where I would intentionally and sometimes unintentionally just kind of like create things in the relationship so that it will be easier to deal with if my husband was to kind of walk away from it. Because I'm like, well, if I did these certain things or unintentionally, we're doing certain things, that it wouldn't hurt as much if he did. Because you know what? I'm not even good enough to keep anybody to stay around. And that's faulty thinking at its prime. Like, faulty thinking at its best, right? Like, how could I even think of that? Like, that I'm gonna self-sabotage the relationship for a possibility. Like, that's just mind-blowing how my mind was thinking and working at that time. And still sometimes do. It's weird. I am so tired of living in fear in my head about possibilities and unknown. Like, I want to live a life that I can enjoy, that is free, that is more happy. And that's also what I want for my kids as well, which is another kind of factor in me doing this journey. It's because of my children. No mom, no parent ever want their kiddos to feel this way, to feel broken without beyond repair, right? There's 2 quotes that I typically kind of go back and forth to in this journey. The first quote is that your children need the most healed version of you, and also your children need a childhood that they don't have to heal from. Now, those 2 quotes are really powerful to me, because if we are not our healed version, if we are not our best self for our kids, then they get the worst part of us, which is not good, which would then create an environment, create a childhood that they would eventually have to heal from and process through when they become, adults. And I don't want that for my kids. I don't want that. So what I'm doing is I'm working on myself now, especially while they're young, and I'm teaching them coping skills of, you know what, instead of just yelling, let's just breathe through this emotion. Now, mind you, I am human. There are moments where I may say something to my kids out of frustration, but what I am beginning to do, and what I have been doing, is I go back to my kids and I apologize. Even though that my kiddos are 6 and 2, they're still humans with emotions and big emotions. And I want them to know that it's okay that when we, do something, it's okay to apologize for them, to ask for forgiveness, and to do differently. It's not that I'm going back to my kids and just apologizing and doing the same thing over and over again. I'm going back to them, I'm apologizing, and I'm changing my ways. Now, there are moments my husband like, okay, Christina, breathe. Or my kiddo, my oldest one, be like, okay, mommy, use a skill. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Let's breathe. I may do it 3 times. And then I have a clear mind to then be the parent that I want to be. So I definitely don't want my kiddos to have a childhood that they have to heal from. My third point is also my memory. So what I began to notice over the years is that my memory has not been really great. And I do believe that documenting this moment of my life, this healing journey of my life, will begin to help my memory. Over the years, I began to notice that things in my childhood and also certain things in my present, that it was just really difficult for me to remember or recall. I would have friends or, my husband like, you don't remember that? And I'm like, no, I don't remember that. And it would make me think that I was crazy, right? Like, why the heck am I not remembering things? But as I began to do research on memories, I began to notice that there are a couple of things why people's memory will become really faded for them, or to a point that they just can't recall them. There were 2 things I saw. The first one was infantile amnesia, I believe that's how you say it. And the second one was traumatic dissociative amnesia. And I know that growing up, I didn't really have the most healthiest coping skills, right? But what I do remember in just doing some reflection was when I was going through some really difficult moments of my life, in childhood, in relationships, I would kind of mentally dissociate from that space. And what would happen for me is I would be there present, like physically I'm there, but mentally I was in my head singing a song, like a totally different tune, to kind of just help me to get through that moment. Because what I felt was like either this space was too dangerous or this just brought up too much emotion that I just did not want to deal with. And what your body typically does is it does certain things to kind of help protect it, right? And I do feel like at moments that was something that my body did to protect itself from really, really intense emotions that I didn't have the skills, the necessary process or necessary express or necessary just be and sit with. So, and I also find myself doing that in my marriage. Like, there'll be moments where we're talking about something really difficult, that will kind of bring me back to either like some really like negative beliefs or self-talk or something that I just may internalize. And what I begin to notice that in those spaces, I would be there present with my husband, but mentally I was somewhere else singing a song and would wonder why my husband was like, we just talked about this. I'm like, I don't remember. I don't remember having this discussion. Like, I remember we were on a topic of this, but I don't actually remember what you said or what happened. And that's because I was somewhere else mentally dissociated to either try to just protect myself from those intense emotions or try not to take things too personally. But what I do notice that in doing that particular thing, it's no longer serving me a purpose. It's actually hindering this process for me. So I am going to learn more ways to cope healthy, breathing exercises, mindfulness, meditation, reading my Bible, whatever it is. I'm going to begin to do those things so that I can stay present in those spaces, sit in those emotions, process those emotions so that I can kind of push through this stuck phase. So why name my channel Progression, Not Perfection? Well, my reason for naming this channel Progression, Not Perfection is because as I reflect on my life, I begin to notice that I wanted to be the perfect person. I wanted to do things perfectly. That if it wasn't perfect, that I'd be really hard on myself, that I would not do things. I wouldn't start them. And even if I did start them, sometimes I wouldn't continue to do them because I was so hard on myself trying to be this perfect person. But when I began to notice that no one is perfect and that we all should be striving to progress in life, because if we strive to be perfect, we are not going to live a life that God has called us to live. A life that's enjoying, a life that's ever learning. So just recently, I began to kind of work out, wanted to start kind of on my physical health journey as well. And there was a moment where it was me, my husband, my sister. We were sitting around after the workout, just kind of talking about what the workout was, how difficult it was, but then also how over time it can become easier once we continue to do it. And my husband said, "I'm so proud of you because you never finish anything." And I looked at my sister, I said, "Dang, like really? Like you really gonna say this?" And second, I was embarrassed. However, a couple days later, and as I've been preparing for this video, I've been kind of reflecting on what he said. And I'm like, why would he say something like that? What have I shown that I don't finish anything? Like, what is it? And then I started to kind of piece some things together. Now, my friends know, my husband knows that when I get an idea, I get tunnel vision, right? So that's all I want to focus on. That's all I'm doing research on. I'm buying courses on it. I'm making sure that things are getting right. I'm trying to make sure things are done legally for me to do these type of things. But then there's a moment where I notice that in those spaces, I become a perfectionist, where I want things to be perfect, that I typically overthink things, right? So I remember a last project I was doing, I overthought the color scheme. I didn't know what color it was supposed to be. I overthought the name. What the heck name am I gonna pick? It has to be the perfect name. That eventually it began to fall by the wayside because I began to become very overwhelmed about the process of not having the perfect color scheme, not having a perfect name. Okay, now, so what platform am I going to do this on? What platform? Am I going to do this on Facebook? Am I going to do this on Instagram? Am I going to do this on TikTok? That because I got so overwhelmed, it just began to fall by the wayside to the point that it became non-existent. I had all of this stuff, all of this material, all of these pieces in my room, and it wasn't being put to use because I wanted things to be so perfect that I stopped doing things, and that now it's just non-existent. And I said, dang, like, there are moments in my life where I show that I'm not consistent and that I don't follow through on what I said I'm going to do. And that is the reason why I have to remind myself through this channel what I'm striving for. I'm striving to progress in life. I'm striving to learn lessons in life and not strive to be perfect and have things perfect and have life perfect, because nothing is perfect. And if we do strive for that perfect aspect, things either won't get done, won't be continued, or just won't start at all. So if you're ready to take this journey with me, come on right now and click the next video so we can begin this journey together. Also, I would love for you to drop a comment down below of your biggest takeaway from this video. I love to hear from everyone so that we can begin to build this community together, build this support system together, so that you can remember that you're not alone in this journey, and that I know that I'm not alone in this journey as well. And lastly, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and push that notification button so that you don't miss the next video. See you in the next video.